Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody is well and has had a fantastic week leading up to Christmas. I am on my own this evening. Unfortunately, Johnny has been taken ill. He's not very well, so he's not going to be able to make it, I'm afraid. But I'm here. I have a cold. Great timing for having a cold, Christmas. So I don't have a great deal of much of a voice, as you can tell. It's a little bit husky and a little bit smoky sounding, but I'm here. And Just Bob was the first one to post, so I'm going to read his message first. He says, "Hello and Merry Christmas, Johnny, and all. Gonna miss the show. Out to dinner with my wife. Our anniversary tonight." Well, that's fantastic. A very happy anniversary to you, my friend. Have a great evening, and if you catch the replay, I hope you get to hear this. So yes, I'm afraid. Excuse me, I'm afraid I'm on my own, which is a little bit of a shame. But dear Johnny is not very well, so he is tucked up in bed as we speak, and I hope he's watching this. He said he might, if he's feeling up to it. So Johnny, if you are watching, we love you. Have a nice rest and get yourself fit and healthy and for Christmas and all of that. So that's what we want for you, my friends. So how's everyone doing? I hope everyone's doing well. Jeffrey Burr says, "Ho ho ho." Yep, I'm wearing the Santa hat. This is my daughter's Santa hat, actually. My son has one, but his doesn't fit my head. So, but Anna's does. My daughter Anna's does. Did you give Johnny his cold? Well, that would be impressive to be able to give Johnny his cold from here in Scotland. No, he doesn't have a cold, but he is not feeling very well. So he asked me to let you guys know that he's not very well, and that he's very sorry to miss the show tonight. He was really looking forward to fun and laughter with us. So unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So let's see who else is here. Raina is here. Let's see if I actually got to the top. It might help. If I can get this damn thing to scroll. It doesn't always want to scroll. But let's see. Ken Moss is here. Bobby Booth says hello. And as I said, Rainer's here. My good dear friend Beatrice is here. Bobby Booth. No show is worth doing if Bobby Booth is not going to be here. Let's see. Jeffrey Burr, I said already. I think there's only going to be a few of you tonight. And that's okay. Let's see. Afromaya Recording Studio says, "Hey." That's not a name I'm familiar with, so I think you're probably new to the show, and if you are, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. And this is pretty much it. It's just me tonight, and we were going to be reviewing the year. We're going to take a look back at 2018 and then take a look forward to things that we're going to be doing in 2019. So Johnny and I had some things that we're going to talk about, which obviously can't happen now. So we're, yeah, Merry Christmas to you, Afromaya, as well. Yep. Merry Christmas to everybody. So obviously it's going to be a little bit harder to kind of have the conversation I was going to have with Johnny now, so we're basically just going to improvise. And we'll take a look back at 2018. We'll still do that, but it's going to be just from my perspective, and we'll take a look forward to some of the things that I'm going to be up to in 2019, and some of the things that you guys can expect from me and from Johnny Lipsham Studios, and also from my work with Johnny Geib, helping him run Home Studio Trainer, which is cool. I really enjoy doing that with him. It's great fun helping him with his live streams and helping him with other content and stuff that we come up with together, like the Songwriting Simplified show, which is really great fun. See, when we started Songwriting Simplified, the idea was that we were going to just do it as a podcast. So it's just going to be like audio only, and essentially it was just going to be us two just chatting about songwriting, and just, you know, we didn't really envisage it sort of evolving in the way that it has, and it's been really, really cool doing that show, and it's always a challenge. Always a challenge for me, because Johnny likes to try and find a question that I can't answer. And so far, I don't think he's been able to find a question that I can't answer. So, I mean, even the one actually last week when we were looking at Christmas carols, I pretty much was able to answer most. I think I answered every question that he put to me. I even had to look, you know, I had to do a little bit of research on the spot, but I did that, and managed to get good information out to you guys for that. So yeah, so lots of things have kind of really developed in really interesting ways over the last 12 months. I've moved house. That's probably the biggest thing for me, is that I've moved house, and actually the way I do this show is a huge step forward. So for those of you that weren't aware, the start of this year, we have been for the last sort of 14 years. We're living in an apartment on one side of this particular district of southeast Edinburgh, and we had abysmal, appalling internet. It was like so slow. It was maybe just a fraction faster than dial-up. And so that's how we started doing my Sunday Night Live show. And it didn't really take on that Sunday Night Live name until maybe must be April time, I think. I think it must have been April when I just started calling it Sunday Night Live, because I just thought it's a better name than Johnny Lipsham Studios live stream, because, you know, then I have to keep up with episode numbers, and I couldn't do that. I've never been able to do that. So I thought, yeah, Sunday Night Live, and just the date of that particular episode. Why not? It's just easier to keep up with. So we did that at my old place using Google Hangouts. You remember that? And the not so great picture quality, the not so great audio quality. And then we moved in July. Probably about 5 minutes away from where we were, into a bigger house, because that's what we're in now. We're in a house, and we have stairs, which is amazing. We in our flat, we just, you know, our apartment before, no stairs, no nothing, but now we have stairs. So which is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing in that our kids have their own space. But it's a bad thing because, you know, my knees have to tolerate going upstairs, and they don't like stairs, particularly going downstairs. So, yeah, so there's good and bad in that respect. But it does mean I have this huge room. I mean, it's not massive compared to some people's studios. Like my good friend Dave Vignola has a huge studio space, absolutely gigantic. And even Johnny has a big studio space. He has like 4 different rooms. Excuse me. And but I only have this. But this is way bigger than the previous room. So lots of improvements. And of course, obviously, I'm now using OBS, and the quality of the show has improved a lot. And we've got really good internet now. So those are probably the big things for me in terms of events that have happened this year. But there's lots of other stuff that I've been involved in with Presonus that you guys have seen. I've done some video series showcasing some of their products. I did a couple of videos showcasing the headphone products and stuff like that. So I've done a few different bits and pieces for them, which has been really cool. And I think going into next year, I'm going to be doing some more stuff more directly with them, which would be really cool. We've got some ideas that we're spitballing back and forth at the moment, so that's going to be pretty cool. And And yeah, Bob says size doesn't matter. Yeah, absolutely. But it does mean I have more space. And incidentally, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but you can probably see part of the desk in shot here. On this side. This was actually my old studio desk. So when you were watching my show in the old apartment, my gear was on this desk here. It's an old sort of mahogany kind of desk, and my gear barely fitted on it. And then I got the Studio Live Series 3 16-channel mixer, and of course that was never going to fit on that desk, so I had to basically go and buy a new desk, which which my wife and I built. I say my wife and I just handed her the things that she needed, and she did the building, because she's really good at building furniture, IKEA furniture. She's so good at it. So this is the desk I have now, and the desk that you see in the when I go offline, you see the picture, the thumbnail for my live stream. The picture there shows the desk really well. It's basically just an IKEA desk, and the speakers and the screen are sat on top of a bookshelf that I put some legs on. So we've got like 4 legs, and the legs are from a sofa that nobody needed, so I took the legs off it, and we put this whole thing together and improvised this nice little shelf. And it meant I could get everything on the one desk, including the Studio Live mixer, which is really cool. So yeah, the Studio Live thing has been a big thing for me this year as well. Being involved in that and in door mode and all of that has been really cool, in the public betas and all of that. Ken Moss says, love those videos. Presonus owes you commission on at least 3 purchases of mine so far. Well, that's fantastic that the videos that I've done have helped you make a purchase. That's really good. That's great. And I really like hearing those kind of things, that something that I have done or something that I've made has helped you go and purchase some Presonus gear. Presonus are fantastic. They're a great company. They are the most approachable and friendly audio company in the business, I think. Before I discovered Presonus in 2013, I was a Steinberg guy, and had been a Steinberg guy since 1988. So 1988, 1989, when I started getting into their software that they had at the time, which was before the very first version of Cubase came out. There was a couple of pieces of software called Pro 16 and then Pro 24, and I had both of those. And then of course the very first version of Cubase came out, and I immediately started using that, because it was just like the next logical step forward. And I used Steinberg stuff all the way through until 2013, and I reached out to them quite a lot, because I thought, I want to help other users, other Cubase users. I want to teach them, train them, and that kind of thing. But they always made it really hard. They wanted their Cubase certified guys, their Steinberg certified guys to be the ones that make all the educational content. They weren't really that open to just other users saying, hey, I'd be happy to make videos on X, Y, and Z. They weren't interested in that at all. But as soon as I got Studio One in 2013, and the first point of contact I made at Presonus was Rick Nakvi, and he and I just hit it off pretty much straight away. And I mentioned to him this idea that I wanted to make some tutorial videos on Studio One as I'm exploring it, so that so for those that are of the explorative type, could have some content where they actually see somebody exploring with them, and they can join me on that journey. So that my first few videos were a little bit like that. They weren't great quality videos, I have to say. you know, my early videos back in 2014, 2015. I have watched them recently and they're not great. I do a lot of this, leaving long pauses between words. They're quite painful to watch, really, from that point of view. So, but, you know, the Presonus guys have been very supportive over the last few years, and in particular the last 12 months. So, big shout out to them, big thank you to them as well for all of their kindness and all their generosity and support for me over the last 12 months. So, let's see, let's go back and look at the chat. Let's see, we've got some new people in here. Bob Powell is here, Kirk McWright is here, and Steve Louth is here. Good to see you, Steve. And of course Ken Moss is here, and Rainer, my good mate Rainer. Rainer, you're staying up late again tonight, mate, because it'd be like 1:30 in the morning for you. Well, coming up on it, it's 20 past 1 in the morning for you right now. So you're crazy. You're crazier than me, and I thought I was crazy. All right, so yeah, basically the move for me was the biggest thing, and getting everything squared away in the whole flat. You know, we basically had to pack down a whole flat in a space of not very long, really, and then mostly because we left it all fairly late because we were both really, really busy. I was busy trying to get mixes finished up before we moved, and my wife just had a crazy busy working schedule, which she does just anyway, and that made it hard to get packing done. But we did it. We were still packing up to the last minute, but we did it. And we moved into this place. And, you know, the 6 months that we've been here have been really, really cool. Our neighbors are really, really nice. The street that we're on is relatively quiet. It has a few nutters, but you know, what street doesn't have nutters on it? You know, what street doesn't have crazy people that do crazy things? So, I mean, last night is a case in point. I'm not going to talk too much about last night or go into too much detail because I can't really, because what happened this morning, the early hours of this morning, was really, really quite serious. Police were involved and everything. So, and part of our road was closed for most of the day because it was a crime scene. So, yeah, that kind of serious. So, last night, our neighbors decided they were going to have their Christmas party. Christmas parties are fine. I like Christmas parties. You know, this is a Christmas party. So if you're wearing Santa hats, please do post in the chat that you're wearing a Santa hat, or if you've got a Santa hat kind of emoji, get it in there, get it in the chat. Good to see those. So yeah, so they decided to have their party, and I'm fine with that. I don't mind neighbors having parties. I really don't. It's when you get kind of past midnight and instead of the party beginning to quieten down a bit, it's actually getting louder. Not so happy with that, really. And then, you know, 2 o'clock in the morning, it's actually getting even louder. To the point where I'm just like, I've got headphones in to kind of like just listen to music so I don't have to hear their partying. And you know, they're noise cancelling ones, and I could still hear them. And so I thought, this is ridiculous. So I got to about 2:30, and I was just like, okay, enough's enough. Call the police. So I called the police and basically said, look, you know, this noise is just getting out of hand. It's ridiculous. And they said, yeah, we'll send a couple of officers round, you know, when we've got some to spare. You know, this is arguably probably one of their busiest times of the year. Christmas, you wouldn't believe it, but it is. You know, it's supposed to be the season of goodwill and everything, but it's more usually for them, you know, the season of all sorts of crazy, stupid activities. Anyway, I don't know whether they came or not because I eventually just collapsed into sleep. So anyway, about 7 o'clock in the morning, this morning, I woke up and it was still going on, but it was even louder. You know, it was even louder than it was before at 2:30. And then my wife came through and said, hey, you know, there's a fight going on. I was just like, oh, okay. So I got back on the phone to the police again. And within a few seconds, we had 8 police cars, 3 vans, and within probably about 5-10 minutes, and there's an ambulance as well. About 5-10 minutes, they had crime scene tape out across the road and across the front of this house, our next door neighbours. And okay, something very, very serious has gone down, which, as I say, I can't really go into a whole lot of detail because this is a live broadcast and I don't want to prejudice any the outcome of any criminal cases that are attached to this particular incident. So yeah, not much fun. I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. So I'm feeling a bit kind of done, but still. So that was kind of like my, you know, if I was to have like a climactic, bizarre night of the year, last night was it. So there you go. I may have, in fact, I did kind of witness something very, very serious. So I've had the police in here all day, pretty much, taking my statement and questioning me. So it's not been too terribly much fun from that point of view. But there you go. So now I think, having kind of talked about 2018 a bit, I'm going to take your questions. And then towards the end of the show, we'll start talking about 2019. And what I'd like you guys to do, whilst I'm taking your questions, please do put your questions in the chat, but also be thinking about what are your hopes, your dreams, your predictions for 2019. Get them into the chat as well. That'd be really cool. Then we can kind of talk about those things as well. That'd be good fun. So let's see. Mark Hoosley's here. Mark, I think you're new to my show. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Says Happy Christmas to all. That's awesome. Mike Neighbor is here. Good to see you, my good friend. Mike is a great guy. He and I are really good mates, and I'm very glad to have him in the show. Bob T is here. Hey, Bob. Good to see you, mate. Welcome. And let's see. Common Ground has the first question of the evening. I think it's the first one. If I've missed your question, please do repost it, by the way, until I see it and answer it. He says, what do you use or recommend for using for streaming webcam? I actually have it's a HP webcam. It's a 1080p webcam, which I picked up for £20, I think. It was really cheap. So that'd be maybe $25, something like that. So not a very expensive camera. You can get way more expensive cameras that have auto zoom and, you know, panning and stuff like that. So if you're moving around the room, the camera follows you. Those are fine, and I think you can get some webcams now that will shoot in 4K. Well, if you've got a computer that can handle processing 4K and also can store 4K video, if you've got like all that kind of storage space, then that might be something worth investing in. But really, that's something only worth investing in if you have you know, video editing that will upload to YouTube or Vimeo or any of those other video sharing platforms at 4K. If you can upload at 4K, great. As far as I know, YouTube does support 4K now, but I think you have to have passed a certain number of subscribers before they'll let you do that. So it's not just about, you know, whether you've got the physical software capabilities for uploading to 4K in YouTube. It's also about, you know, do you have the right number of subscribers? I think you have to have something like 50,000 subscribers before they'll let you upload 4K, I think. But I will check that out, and to be sure, Steve Laz said, hey, Merry Christmas. Any tips on reducing CPU? Yes, I have a few. Ensure that your system is optimized for audio. Now, if you have a custom-built Pro Audio computer like I have, which is built by a really rather marvelous company based in the UK here called Scan Computers UK, they are great, and their customer service is outstanding. And they do actually have a bit of a relationship and partnership with PreSonus as well. I think they even bundle some of their computers with Studio One now, which is great. But they have a whole range of Pro Audio computers. If you've got the budget for something like that, then go for it, because you can guarantee that the machine you get has been properly built and the BIOS has been set up specifically for processing audio in the most efficient manner possible. So if you can afford that, then do it. If not, and you're just going to get an off-the-shelf machine from Best Buy or somewhere like that, then you're going to have to do a little bit of optimization to make sure that certain settings in BIOS are switched off and certain settings are switched on. I don't know what those are, but there is an article in the PreSonus knowledge base that will help you there. If you go to the knowledge base, and when you get to the search bar, if you search optimization, the article will just pop up. It should be the first one there. And then you can just read that, and you can start to action all the things that article suggests that you should go and check out and adjust in your computer system to make it work more efficiently. Another way to really help your CPU system, help your CPU load out a lot, is commit to a sound as early as possible. So, for example, if you have a particular MIDI sound that you're using, say it's an orchestral library or something like that, and you're using a high-resolution string section sound, well, as soon as you have input the, you played in, or you've handwritten or drawn in or whatever, once you've input all of those MIDI parts and you're happy with them, render them. Don't just do transform to audio. I mean, transform to audio is great because it does take away some of the load, but remember the MIDI is always in the background. So I would say make sure you've got all of that MIDI edited to perfection. Once you've got it edited to perfection and you're absolutely happy with the arrangement that you've done and the parts that you've created, then render it as soon as possible. So you're not just transforming to audio, you're rendering it, and you're getting the instrument and the MIDI completely out of the way, just leaving the raw audio. Do that as much as possible. And as I say, commit to a sound early up front. So, if you can EQ and compress on the way in, do it. It will save you mixing time up front, plus also some processing as well. So those are maybe 2, maybe 3 different ways. There are a whole load more that you can probably think of and try them out. Rainer says without 4K you don't get them, and without them you don't get 4K. I'm not quite sure what that means. Jeffrey Burr says PreSonus has the public beta version of the Series 3. My interest, is it worth it, and what are the advantages to convert the mixer and ear mixes along with UC to 44.1 sample rate? It basically, the whole 44.1 beta thing at the moment is because it is another option. A lot of people do work at 44.1. And CD, if you're doing stuff to CD or if you're doing stuff to MP3, pretty much you're best off working in 44.1. So that's why the Series 3 mixers are going to have 44.1, because most studios work in 44.1, believe it or not, because you know, there are devices like this, you know, the Studio 192 that goes up, you know, to 192 kilohertz resolution. Lots of really, really high resolution. But when you upload those songs to a streaming platform, you're going to lose some of that anyway. So there's not necessarily a whole lot to be gained working at a higher sample rate than 44.1, to be honest. That's just my opinion. There is a lot of argument out there. Some people will say, no, you absolutely must work at the highest possible resolution because when you scale it down, it doesn't matter too terribly much. I would argue, well, if it doesn't matter too terribly much, then why have to scale down? So, but as I say, there's a plethora of opinions on that. So, and the Studio Live Series 3 consoles were originally designed, first of all, with live as being the priority focus for the devices. So they were meant to be live mixers first and foremost, which is why they have always been 48K, because live mixers work at 48K. It's just one of those things. It's just the way it is. So that's why they default to 48K. However, most studios don't operate at 48K. They operate at 44.1 or some other sample rate. So, you know, having the option of 44.1 on the Studio Live means that it makes the product available for more. It just allows more flexibility than just being stuck at 48. At 48K, because, you know, if somebody sends you files that are 44.1, you then have to convert them up. You have to scale them up to 48K before you can start working in Studio One with those files, which it doesn't take any time to do. It hardly takes any time to do at all in Studio One. Studio One's really good at that, but it's, you know, it's just like an extra step you have to take. I've got to convert my files to 44.1. You know. Sorry, I've got to convert these 44.1 files that have been sent. I've got to convert them to 48K. You know, that takes a little bit of time, takes some processing power. Not really sure I want to do that. So there is that issue, and that's why it's an option that's being tested. However, it's not the only thing that's being tested in the public beta at the moment. Mackie and Huey modes are being tested as well for other DAWs. So Pro Tools and Cubase and Logic and all of that. So those are ongoing, which is cool. You know, we had the beta for DAW mode in the first place earlier in the year, which is great. That was a great beta to be on. Lots of fun, and there were a real load of people on board with it. So I hope that helps you. D asks a great question. Are there any copyright infringement problems when using the Studio One full loops in making a song? There are absolutely no copyright issues at all. They are 100% royalty free, which means you can use any of the loops in Studio One and any of the loop packages that you also purchase as add-ons in Studio One as well, like the MVP loops and some of the other ones that are there in the Persona shop. If you get those into Studio One and you use those in your songs and you make your songs commercially available to make money from, there is no problem whatsoever because they are all 100% royalty free. You don't have to worry about them. So, and that's actually a definitive answer. So if anybody comes back and says no, loops, you know, there are copyright issues. No, there aren't. Consider this question absolutely settled for time memorial. Okay? There are no royalty issues with, or copyright issues with Studio One loops or loop packages that you buy, unless the loop company that you buy from stipulates it specifically that they are not royalty free, in which case there would be. However, companies like Looploft, for example, and Personas do some work with them, and certainly have done for some of the loop bundles that we've got now. What was I going to say? So yeah, So companies like Looploft, all of their loops are absolutely royalty free. You can use any of them in your songs, make that song commercially available, and make money from selling that song. Absolutely fine. You don't have to kick back anything to anybody. So I hope that definitively answers that question. Mike Neighbor says, how can I post the Sweetwater optimization guide for Windows 10? The Presonus knowledge base doesn't have that info. That's a good idea, Mike. I would suggest that you pop that in the HST Studio One for support group, actually. Just stick the link in there, and I think that's a great idea. Bobby Booth says, got all my waves going again. Well done. Went back to version 9. Yep. That's I have not updated Waves Central to Waves 10, even though Waves Central keeps on screaming at me, please update us, please update us. No, not going to do it. Not going to update. Not until you fix the issue with Waves 10, then I might consider it. If Waves come up with a way in which you can use Waves 9 and Waves 10 plugins at the same time using the same license and all of that, and you don't have to keep repurchasing just because you have to update, that actually bothers me. I bought the product. It's not up to me to update it. That's up to Waves to keep it up to date so that it works on whatever system I'm using, whatever version of Studio One I'm using, whatever OS I'm using. It's actually on Waves to keep it up to date, not on me. So the financial burden shouldn't be on me because I paid for the product. So that's just my opinion. Mike says, I'm getting circuit crap with Waves. Yeah, I really hope that they sort that whole issue out. And Bobby said, Bobby says, you're safe with the loops in Studio One. Yes, absolutely you are. So that's a definitive answer there. Yep, totally settled on that. There are no copyright issues with using loops in Studio One, and pretty much all the loop companies out there will tell you the same thing. When you purchase the loops, you're not just paying for the privilege of having the loops. You're also paying for the license to be able to use them commercially. So, it's the same with most things in that respect. Mike says, I will not pay for any Waves updates. It's highway robbery in my opinion. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. There is an opportunity for Waves if they are smart, because they are one of the oldest plugin manufacturers in the business. They were one of the first. Years before Stephen Slate started doing anything remotely resembling plugins, Waves were there. Now, Waves could do something really, really smart and come up with something like the Slate Everything bundle, but they could do it better. There is an opportunity for them to do that. They haven't seized that opportunity yet, and I hope that they do, because I think there's potential for Waves to outflank Slate. And I think, for me personally, I think the Slate Everything bundle is fantastic. It's a genius idea, being able to basically pay one monthly fee every month, and you get every plugin that he ever makes. And if there are any new plugins, they just get added to the bundle, and you just update the bundle, or at least it should be that simple, but isn't always. Sometimes the installers go a bit wrong, and sometimes they just don't work. That's been my experience lately with Slate. But I think the virtual mix racks concept is a fantastic concept. What a terrific idea. Really, really great idea. And the way he implements it is really, really good. And the plugins do sound fantastic. So, Waves have a little chink in the armor of Slate which they could target. And I'd love to see them do it. That said, just recently I picked up a whole load of Plugin Alliance plugins recently. And it's the first time I had anything to do with Plugin Alliance. And they were really, really good. Their customer service was fantastic. Their support, really, really cool, really great. And they've got a whole bunch of really fantastic plugins, and they're actually really reasonably priced, and they discount them regularly, and sometimes you can pick up freebies as well. And of course, again, they have a relationship with PreSonus as well, because they made some of their plugins available to the Studio Magic bundle that PreSonus do with their interfaces. So if you have a PreSonus interface, you should have the the Studio Magic plugin bundle already in your account. You just need to go and create a Plugin Alliance account, and there's a couple of other companies there in that bundle that you need to just basically go and create accounts, and then you just download the plugins. It's relatively straightforward. Particularly with the Plugin Alliance, actually, it's very straightforward. So, well worth getting a hold of those if you can. Kirk just posted something, then deleted it, as did Darren Bryant, which is a shame. Bobby Boo says Plugin Alliance is getting up there with Slate. Yeah, they're really good plugins. They're really good quality. Those Brainworks plugins are really great. I've been using their Octo compressor for a wee while now, and it sounds to me, just as good as the Slate FG 401, to be honest. There's not really a whole lot to differentiate between the two, my opinion. I really like both of those compressors. Mike says now they are rent to own, but $149 a month for the Mercury bundle from Waves. No thanks. Yeah, well, you know what? That Mercury bundle is pretty expensive. Years and years ago, when I was way back in the mists of time, when I was still a Cubase guy, I got the Waves Gold bundle pretty much when the Gold bundle first came out, and it was really good. And then, of course, I went on my third-party plugin fast, and I uninstalled a lot. I went actually a little bit over the top with that whole thing, to be honest, because it was a bet that a friend of mine had, and he said, I bet you can't mix your client mixes for a year with no third-party plugins and just using the ones that are native to Cubase. I said, bet you I can. And just to basically make sure that he could see that I was not in any way, shape, or form cheating, I totally uninstalled every third-party plugin that I have, or that I had at the time, and that included the Gold bundle. And so I completely uninstalled it. I deregistered everything. I deauthorized everything. I went the whole hog, just to basically so that he had clear evidence that there was no way that I was going to cheat at this thing. And so I did it. I did it for a whole year. And he was just, wow, well, you know, really good that you did it for a whole year. And, you know, your mixes turned out really well. And I just kind of went, yeah. And I'm not really sure I want the hassle of going back to Waves and, you know, reauthorizing all of those licenses and everything else and re-downloading the bundles and the Gold bundle and all of that. I just didn't want to do it. Excuse me. And so I kind of didn't. I thought, yeah, I'll do that when I get a free moment. And then, of course, the free moment never came. And it was a full 15 years, I think, before I finally went, okay, time to go back to using some third-party plugins. So it was a little bit longer than a year. It's fast, really, but it was fun. Kirk McWright says, Merry Christmas, Steve. Yep, a very Merry Christmas to everybody who's here tonight. Actually, let's go and see how many people we do have here tonight, because that would be quite interesting to see. How many do we have? We've got 18. That's cool. 18 people watching on the night before Christmas Eve. In my case, it is now Christmas Eve, because it is now 1:45 in the morning. 10 to 1 in the morning, nearly. So it is already Christmas Eve. But for you guys, it'll just be dinner time the night before Christmas Eve. So I hope you guys have have got everything all set up, and you bought presents for your wives and girlfriends and all of that, and you make sure you're in their good books so that you don't get in the doghouse on Christmas Day. You know, that's got to be one of the worst things. I did that last year. I didn't forget to buy something for my wife. It's just that we kind of like do presents, but we have a bit of tradition in our household for kind of wee stocking fillers. And I'd got stuff for the kids, for Anna and Sam, but I hadn't really thought about my wife and her stocking, so she had pretty much one item in her stocking, and the kids' stockings were full of stuff. And she was not best pleased. And so I thought, I think I might be in trouble here. I kind of was in trouble, but I shrugged it off and promised myself I would not make the same mistake again. So, and you're probably thinking, has he made the same mistake again? I'm not gonna tell you. Raina also says Cush audio are also excellent with the same rent option from Waves. I use the Horizon bundle. Cool. Darren says, I have been buying and collecting gear for several years, trying to get everything I need for a home studio. My interface is Audiobox 22 VSL, which is now outdated. Should I upgrade? Never used. You could upgrade. There is nothing to stop you from doing that. Essentially, the Studio series of interfaces is the natural successor to the VSL interfaces, and there's a very good reason for that. Essentially, there was a change made to how Mac OS X deals with audio and processes audio in particular via ASIO protocols. And they changed it, but of course Windows didn't. But it was Apple that changed it and Windows didn't. And what that meant was the VSL, which stands for Virtual Studio Live, which basically means you had a Studio Live mixer on board the Audiobox device. So you had that as kind of like the Studio 192 has the Fat Channel DSP and all of that on board it. Well, those Audiobox VSLs, they had a virtual version of the Studio Live built into the unit, so the driver ran Fat Channel DSP effectively on these devices. But the change that there was in the Mac OS meant that the VSL would no longer run. And Presonus, being the fair-minded people they are, realized that it would still run on Windows, but it's not going to run on Mac anymore. Well, they could have left it for the Windows guys and done something separate for the Mac OS guys, but that wouldn't really have been very fair. So they basically decided, okay, we are going to scrap VSL altogether, which is what they did. And their solution a little bit further down the line was to create this product line of interfaces called the Studio interfaces, and you get the 2.4, the 2.6, the 6.8, the 1810, the 1824, and the 192 and the 182 mobile in that range. And they are essentially the natural successors to those old Audiobox VSL boxes, because they have universal control. Universal control is a huge part of the Presonus ecosystem, and it's already there for a long time, but then because of the whole VSL situation, they basically revamped it massively to what it is today, and now pretty much every Presonus interface, regardless of what product line it belongs to, runs universal control. And actually a lot of other devices run it too, like the Faderport. The Faderport Classic had an update recently, that allows it to operate on universal control, and of course the new fader ports operate on universal control. I see I've had some donations, which is very kind of you guys. So I have $10 from Bobby Booth and another $10 from Mike Neighbor. Well, that's fantastic, guys. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. That's a lovely touch. And Mike says, for all you do for all these wonderful people in these groups. Well, I really appreciate that. And I'm so glad that you guys find the content that I create for you and the streams that I do every Sunday of value. And the support that I give you answering questions in the groups as well. I hope that going forward in 2019 that you'll find them just as helpful. So here's the thing, looking forward to 2019, because I said we would kind of talk about 2019. Now's your time to start posting in the chat your hopes, your predictions for 2019, those kind of things. If you would like to take a shot at predicting Persona's developments, go ahead. I won't be able to tell you yay or nay. But it'd be certainly interesting to see, you know, kind of what your creative minds can come up with. That might be quite cool. And anybody from Personas that's watching might think, hey, actually, you guys are hitting on some really good ideas. Maybe we should make some of these. You never know. So get to it, folks. Get typing away your predictions for 2019. What is in your future for 2019? What plans, what hopes and aspirations have you got? Deirdre says, music releases. Yes. That is the ultimate goal. Music releases. Absolutely. Raina says, I hope your masterclass starts as soon as possible. I think you're talking about my VIP. Yes, I'm hoping to launch it as soon as possible in 2019. It has kind of been on the back burner for a little while for some technical reasons, but we are overcoming those, and the way looks pretty clear now for us to actually finish up development on the VIP, and we can actually get it launched. So that's kind of the big thing going forward in 2019 for me is VIP. There is going to be a VIP membership site, which will hopefully, it should be vip.johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk. That will be the site that you go to. And there's going to be all sorts of stuff on there. There's going to be 3 levels of music theory class. So beginner, intermediate, advanced. There'll be mixing classes there. There'll be mastering classes there. There will be a whole bunch of different stuff. Lots and lots of different stuff for you guys to get your teeth into. Plus, there will be a separate monthly live stream for the VIP members. There'll be challenges, there'll be contests, there'll be all sorts of stuff going on. Now, for the contests, there won't necessarily be prizes, but there'll still be a chance for you guys to stretch your skills and stretch your talents and stuff. Plus, I'm thinking about some collaborative stuff as well, whereby the VIPs can all get together and work on a particular song. Like we could all contribute different parts to a particular song, and it might well be one of your songs. If you become a VIP member and you become part of the community, maybe you could volunteer one of your songs that we could all contribute to a different part, a guitar part, a bass part, drums, keyboards, vocals, backing vocals, trumpets, trombones, saxophones, you name it. Whatever you think is appropriate for the song, you know, we can do all of that, and then the next thing after that would be to mix. So then everybody would have a chance to mix that song. So there's going to be a few things like that that are going to come in VIP. If you're not a VIP member and you don't want to be a VIP member, don't worry. If you know you financially can't stretch to that, it's only going to be £10 per month. But you know, if that's not an option for you, don't worry. There are still going to be challenges, and you'll still have access to Sunday Night Live. Sunday Night Live is not going away. and my other content on YouTube is not going away. I'm not going to stop making videos for YouTube. I absolutely am. There's going to be a whole load of videos. I've got them mapped out already. I've got pretty much a whole year's worth of videos planned, and I'm just going to be shooting them and drip feeding them into YouTube over the course of the next 12 months. What else is there to say on 2019? So yeah, so if you don't want to be a VIP member, that's absolutely fine. You'll miss out, personally, I think. You'll miss out on all the stuff that will go on inside the VIP community. But, you know, if you can afford it, you can afford it, and that's fine. I don't want you to kind of stretch yourselves if you can do it. There will be still challenges like the December 10th challenge that I did this year. I'm going to do a couple more challenges, maybe 3 or 4 different challenges throughout the course of 2019 that all of you, whether you're VIP or not VIP, all of you can get involved in. And they're going to be different challenges, so with maybe some more specific concepts and more specific ideas to get your heads around and you know, kind of get music out there that involves these particular concepts, perhaps. So those are some of the things that is going to go on. Ken Moss is going to release his first EP. Bobby Booth wants to make better mixes. Well, that's always a good thing. I would also suggest, you know, if you've got kind of something like, hey, I just want to mix better, have some targets. Set some targets for this year. How are you going to mix better? How are you going to, you know, put out better mixes this year than last year? You know, what are you gonna have as your benchmark or your benchmarks to achieve? That means that your mixes are going to be better than last year. Are you going to, you know, get a better mastery on EQ, a better mastery of compression, or are you going to reference more? Maybe. You know, have a set of benchmarks so that you can not only have something to aim for, but also when you get to the end of the year, you've got something to look back on and go, yes, I achieved this, this, and this. I set out at the start of this year to do this, this, and this, and I achieved it. And my mixes are better this year because of X, Y, and Z. So have a think about that, Bobby, is what I would say. Bob T is going to release music as well. Mike says, learning to play an instrument proficiently. Well, you're a pretty good drummer. Make better mixes, write better songs, make money with my studio, the list goes on and on. Yeah, try and make those into bite-sized things that are achievable. Otherwise, you will overwhelm yourself with disappointment because, you know, you don't achieve those targets. If your targets are abstract, you're not gonna do them. You're just not going to achieve them. There's no two ways about it. I know from many years of doing this the hard way. The hard way is I am going to do X, Y, and Z, but you kind of label something abstract. I'm going to write better songs. I am going to practice more. I am going to learn to play sax better, or whatever it might be. That's great. You've got a concept in mind. Now go with that concept to the next step, which is plan it out. How are you going to make better mixes? How are you going to write better songs? How are you going to go about improving your craft? How are you going to go about making, you know, becoming a better musician, a better piano player, a better drummer, a better guitar player, a better saxophone player, whatever it is that's your instrument? How are you going to get there? How is it going to be better? And how, you know, at the end of the year, are you going to know that you're playing better at this point than you were at this point? So, you know, 12 months from now, are you going to be able to look back and go, I am X much better than I was this time last year? So you need to set yourself goals, you need to set yourself benchmarks, and you need to make sure that you know, if you have a particular end goal in mind, that, you know, just like in American football, it's all about yards. Get a few yards, get that first down, and then get the next one, and then get the next one. until you can kick for goal. So, you know, have a strategy for how you're going to be better at mixing. Have a strategy for how you're going to write better songs. Have a strategy for how you're going to become a proficient piano player. Have a strategy for how you're going to become a really good bass player. Or whatever it is that you've got in mind. Make them achievable. Break them down. You know, if we're talking about, hey, I want to be 10 yards further up the field than I am now. Well, okay. Plan each yard out. How are you going to achieve that first yard? Yard 1. And then how are you going to achieve yard 2? How are you going to achieve yard 3? How are you going to achieve yard 4? Break something big and abstract down into something small, manageable, and practical. Several stages of small, manageable, and practical. And then you'll find that that end goal is not only suddenly massively achievable, but it's also easily massively achievable. And when you get to it, you can look back and you can look at all the steps you took to get there. And you can go, I learned not only to be a better mix engineer, but I also learned to be a better strategist at improving my craft. So it's a double win. Or as my daughter Anna would say, that's double bubble. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Kirk says, try to write, engineer, and produce my own EP in 2019. Yep, I'm going to do exactly the same. And you know what? I may even document the process. So if you want to join me on that, I'm going to look into documenting the process of making an EP. And if you want to join me, you can do. I know my good friend Joe Gilder is doing much the same thing. He's going to make an EP in 10 days. That's his plan. From January 1st to January 10th, he's going to make a 5-song, I think it's a 5-song EP. And he has like a whole, well, I keep smacking my mic at the moment. He has a whole product that you can purchase that enables you to join in on that. I'm not going to necessarily make it something you have to buy into financially. I think I'm going to make this something that you can, you know, the videos will just go up on YouTube and you can watch and you can join in. And it won't cost you anything. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's see. Woodbeast is here. He says, Merry Christmas to all JL fans. Merry Christmas to you too, my friend. Mike says 2018 was a dose of reality for me. I need to set a couple of goals and achieve them by the end of 2019. Yes, absolutely. Making things achievable and, you know, kind of not too abstract is so important. So you don't end up with any sense of disappointment. Bobby says, yeah, I need to start using references. There you go. Well, because asked, did Dooley sit on your lap? No. Woodbeast is complimenting Bobby on his work. Yes. But Bobby says, and I love this, he says there is room for improvement. Absolutely. Even if you are the greatest mix engineer on the planet, even if you are, you know, Michael Brower or Chris Lord Alge or Tom Lord Alge or, you know, Fab DuPont or whomever, you know, even they would say, hey, I have room for improvement. My mixes can be better. My mixes can be better. The mixes that I've churned out this year have been really good, really solid. My clients have been happy. I want my clients to be happier, and I want my work to be more efficient. I want my work to be better quality, and I want to nail my mixes first time, which means no revisions. At the moment, I get maybe another round of mixes I have to do. So if it's a 10-song record like I'm just doing at the moment, then I mix all 10 songs, and then, you know, there's a list of tweaks that they want me to make. So that then makes everything into a second round of mixing those 10 songs. My target is to try and nail it on the first mix so that the client is really, really happy on the first mix. So that means I need to talk to them a lot more and get more of an idea of what they want their music to sound like, and get some more clear ideas of what they want their music to sound like, what their songs should sound like, what the end product should be like. And then I mix according to that. That's my template. And then I need to mix according to that a lot more than I do. And I think if I do that, my clients will be much happier with my first round of mixes. So I agree. Let's see. Yeah, Kirk McBride says, 10 days, no pressure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, he thinks it's achievable. See, Joe does this. Joe's like me. He does it full time. So I guess over a lot of us, you know, that are on this, on the show tonight, you know, you guys have all got 9 to 5 jobs, right? Or you work shifts or something. You have a day job. You know, people like Joe and myself, you know, this is our day job. You know, my studio is my day job. And it's also my night job sometimes as well. But, you know, so arguably we have a little bit more flexibility. We have a little bit more time. Some of you can only manage like an hour or two a week. Well, an hour or two a week is not, it's not going to be easy to make an EP in 10 days. I'm not going to say it's not impossible, but it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to be extremely, super, ultra efficient with your time. So that those 2 hours that you have in your studio each day, or, you know, maybe it's 2 hours in the evening, every evening. If you get 2 hours in the evening, every evening, you have to maximize those 2 hours and make them count. So for you, you're going to have to plan every session meticulously to make sure that, you know, you achieve what you want to achieve at the end of it. So for you, planning is going to have to be a lot more in detail. It's going to be a lot more important. Whereas, you know, I think for us that have a little bit more flexibility, it's not quite so intense. So that's my view on that. Anyway, we have overrun a wee bit, but that's okay. It's 1:10 in the morning. I have half a cup of tea left. I'm going to stay on until I've finished my cup of tea. So please do keep going with your aspirations for 2019. As I said, my aspiration is I am going to release an EP. When I do my first show after Christmas, I will tell you when that EP is going to be released. Because I think by telling you guys when it's going to be released, I'm not just telling you, I'm telling YouTube, I'm telling the world that this EP is going out on X date. Well, now I have some accountability, don't I? I have some accountability because you guys have heard me say it's going to be released on X date. Well, now I need to actually step up and make that happen. So, you know, kind of much like the December 10th challenge. The whole idea of the December 10th challenge was have a date. That's what we aim for. That's when we release our song. And then we work back in steps until we get to where we are now, which is not started yet. So, that's what I'm going to do with my EP. I'm going to set a date, so I'm going to have to think about it over Christmas and look at my schedule over the year and see if I can work out when is going to be the optimum release date. And put that in the calendar, and then I'm going to work backwards. How long is it going to take me to master the EP? Then how long is it going to take me to mix it? Then how long is it going to take me to record all 5 songs? Then how long is it going to take me to mix all 5 songs? Then how long is it going to take me to actually record all 5 songs, record all the parts? Then how long is it going to take me to write the arrangements? Then going back further, how long is it going to take me to actually write the songs? So, you know, I need to plan all of those things in order to make sure that I hit that deadline. So that is what I'm going to do. Toby Phillips is here, and he says, Jeffrey Barrett will sound better and reduce latency if I understand correctly. I have the beta, but yet to update. Cool. Yeah, you're kind of right in some aspects of that, Toby. I don't necessarily think there is a whole lot of difference, certainly audibly detectable difference between 44.1 and 48, to be honest. I think any difference that your ear can pick up is negligible, and most people are not. You know, your end user is not going to know the difference. You know, they're not going to put they're not going to download your song and then press play and go, oh, this was done at 48K. Oh, this was done at 44.1. They're not going to do that. They're just going to go, good song, bad song. Yeah, don't like that one. Well, that's a good song. That's great. That's all they're interested in. Is it a good song? Does it sound good? Is the melody great? Is it engaging? Are the lyrics totally, you know, enthralling? That's all they worry about. They don't really worry about how well you've mixed it, or what sample rate you've used, or even what plugins you've used. Nobody really cares about that kind of thing other than us, audio nerds. We care. The end user doesn't. So, you know, arguably, the people that have the logic problem are us. Because it's not logical that we should care that much about what tools we use. You know, builders care about what tools they use to build a house. But the people that buy the house when they move in, all they're worried about is, does all the plumbing work? Does the electricity work? You know, is the house economical? Is it fuel efficient? Is it well sealed? Does it look nice? Is it well presented? That's what they're interested in. They're not interested in, oh, I used this trowel that I got from this supplier, and I used this particular cement mix that I got from this other particular supplier, and they supply the best cement mixes in the world, etc., etc. No, no, no. You're going to bore house buyers with all of that stuff. They're not interested in that. They're just interested, if, you know, in how expansive the kitchen is, or how good is the internet. How fast is the internet here? You know, those are the kind of things that they ask. They don't ask about the specifics of building. So neither should we worry too much about that kind of thing, my opinion. Music One says your hat looks nice. Yeah, I don't do hats very well, but hey, I'm doing it this time. Okay, I think we're probably done, I think. Let's see, we've got 17 people watching now. And we've been going for an hour and a quarter. Deirdre says, great show. And you've got to say goodnight, so you guys soon be safe. Yeah, I'm going to wish everybody a very, very happy Christmas. I hope you guys have a very, very good time. And I hope you don't eat too much. And I hope you don't drink too much. And I hope you guys have a safe time and have lots and lots of fun. And I hope, you know, what gifts you get really bless you terrifically and bring your families closer together. Because that's the important thing. For me, that's what Christmas is about. Christmas is about bringing people together. And it's about generosity. And it's about expressing love for each other, to each other. And in that spirit, I want to express my deepest love to all of you guys for all of your support of me over this year. You guys have been incredible. Thank you so much for donations that you've made this year. You have truly made a great big difference to me and to my wife and to my kids. We really, really value you and appreciate you. And please do, over the Christmas period, if you have any ideas for topics that we can do on these Sunday Night Live shows, or a specific large question that you want addressed, something that we can focus on for each of these shows, please do email me at johnny@johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk. Nobody has taken me up on this yet, so I would like it if you guys did, because then these shows can be more about you and what you want the shows to be focused on, rather than me trying to think of something that might vaguely help you guys. I think it'd be better if you guys kind of say, hey, we want you to focus on X. Maybe it's a particular mixing thing. Maybe it's you want to focus on compression. Maybe you want to focus on EQ. Maybe you want to focus on parallel compression, or maybe you want to focus on how I handle reverb and delay, or how I set up a session, or horn section writing, or strings arranging, whatever it might be. Give me your ideas, give me your thoughts, what you would like me to focus on, and I will gladly do a show where I devote my, the first half an hour of the show to addressing that issue that it might be. So please do send those suggestions to me at johnny@johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk. I'd really appreciate it if you did that. So have a think about that. We're going to take a little break for Christmas, and I'm just going to quickly look at my schedule and see when we can come back. So let's see. So the official next show is going to be on January 6th, but I might sneak in a little sneaky New Year's Eve / maybe New Year's Day show if you're up for it, just like a little short 20-30 minute kind of thing. If you're up for that, keep an eye out for it. If I get a bit of extra time, then I'll do one. Or if you guys really, really would like it, if I did a New Year's Eve or New Year's Day show, I'll do one. But yeah, so the next official one will be January 6th. So I look forward very much to seeing you after Christmas and in 2019. So until then, folks, I'm going to bid you a very, very good night and a very Merry Christmas and a ridiculously happy and blessed 2019. Good night, folks.